All right, ladies and gentlemen of D-Class personnel, go ahead and have a seat. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Commander, and I'm going to be briefing you on the SCP you're about to go study. So what we're looking at today is SCP-5904, Object Class KETER. Special Containment Procedures. Instances of SCP-5904 are to be archived in High-Yield Data Storage Facility 3 at Site-43. I.O. Metatron is to search online listings for any Vikander Kneed technical media labeled VHS tapes. Such listings are to be shut down, and all those with working knowledge of the tapes are to be amnesticized. Investigation into the origins of SCP-5904 is given high priority in order to stymie production of the anomaly. Description: SCP-5904 is the collective designation for a series of instructional VHS tapes entitled Human Resources Orientation, produced and distributed by Vikander Kneed Technical Media. Currently, 3 instances are known to the Foundation designated as SCP-5904-A through C. SCP-5904's anomalous effects are only triggered when an instance is played for at least one individual. Subjects who watch an instance of SCP-5904 develop increased suggestibility and are amenable to following any instruction that would not endanger their lives. The effect is cumulative. The more content an individual watches, the more open to suggestion they will become. Additionally, subjects who watch the entire series of tapes report insomnia, apathy, lack of appetite, and an increase in anxiety. The suggestibility and other psychological effects fade with time, but recollections of the content of an SCP-5904 instance are highly resistant to amnestization. The content of SCP-5904 instances cannot be copied through any known technology, whether digital or analog. Any attempts to duplicate an instance will only produce static. Various items of information concerning the viewing subject will be incorporated into the content contained within an instance of SCP-5904. The host of the series, designated 5904-1, is never completely shown on camera but appears to be male. At most, the bottom 50% of -1's face will be visible on camera at any given time. His eyes are never visible. -1 self-identifies as Charlie Fierro, Senior Vice President of GOI 5889's Human Resources Division. Discovery: SCP-5904 was discovered after an individual in Everett, Washington purchased the tapes at a rummage sale. Miss Martha Gutierrez, a student at University of Washington, age 20, claims no memory of the location or event of the purchase. Foundation personnel were made aware after posts on parawatch.net were discovered by dedicated AICs. Now, this, let's see here. Can I have this, please? Okay. This is one of the posts. I'll go ahead and read it for you. So the other day I bought these videotapes at a rummage sale in my parents' neighborhood. I got them so I could show my AV class, basically as a joke. But there was some drama right after I started the tape. My girlfriend wanted to get her sweater from my dorm and my roommate wouldn't let her in. Bitch. So I left after a few minutes. When I came back, my classmates were all staring at the screen. The VHS had stopped and the old CRT was just static. Screwed up thing? Here's this group of 6 people, totally independent college students, various issues and intellectual abilities, right? They just start following orders. I tell them to fuck off because they didn't pause the tape for me, and they all get up and start leaving. I tell them to wait a minute, and they all turn around and look at me. It's fucking eerie. I figured they were pulling a joke on me, but the next day I found one of them watching another of the tapes in the AV lab, and she was freaking out. Turns out the video was addressed to someone with her name. Emily isn't that strange of a name. I think she was being a bit extra. So she's having a full-on panic attack. She's normally really chill. I tell her she needs to calm down, and she sort of does. Like, I could see in her eyes that she was still freaked, but she stopped pacing and stopped cursing up a storm. She just listened immediately. They're just HR training videos. WTF. Now, Miss Gutierrez was interviewed, but she failed to provide any information concerning the origins of SCP-5904. She was amnesticized along with her classmates. This is a notice from the Foundation Records and Information Security Administration. Reading transcripts of the video files contained within -A through -C has the same effect as viewing the videos themselves. You can see how this would pose a problem. The following excerpts should present minimal anomalous effects, but this is not guaranteed. Please have emergency anti-cognito hazard agents present, which they are here right now. Come on in. While reviewing these transcripts. This is written by me and Maria Jones, the director of the RAISA. All right, we're going to go ahead and read these transcripts for you. Don't worry, we got agents in here if anything untoward should happen. Minimal risk, but can never be too careful. Researcher William Weddle performed the initial anomaly review and produced the below transcripts. I'll go ahead and read these now. You guys ready? All right, following is a transcript of one section of Human Resources Orientation Tape number 1. I mean, I don't know how many times I've told you guys I hate this cognito hazard bullshit. Why do I have to do this? All right, let's get it over with. Site Commander, 05 Council, and I have to do this shit. All right, I'll go ahead and read it now. SCP-5904-1 takes off a suit coat, starts rolling up its sleeves. The setting is a classroom with a large blackboard. Written on the blackboard are the words interviews, framing the narrative. -1. The thing is, you don't really ever want them to be too comfortable. Make it a little too hot, a little too cold, something, get them antsy. Establish who's in charge early on. If they want those health benefits, they're going to have to impress you. William impressed his interviewer when he came to work there. That's how he got this important job. Isn't that right, Willie? Now, -1 waits for 30 seconds. -1, right. Still, it is a funny joke. Then again, I wasn't really listening. That's the other thing. Only half listen to the interviewee. You don't get to make the call if they're hired or not, so what does it matter what they say? Besides, you don't want to set a precedent. If you started listening to people when they came into your office, they'd probably start coming a lot more. Who wants that? Now, this is tape 2. Following is a transcript of one section of Human Resources Orientation Tape number 2. -1 is sweeping a pile of bloody rags and human organs off the table in front of it and into a trash can. The trash can is overflowing with bones, viscera, and other biological material. -1. And that's the end of the conflict resolution chapter. Who's ready for a break? Now, following is a transcript of one section of Human Resources Orientation Tape number 3. -1 opens a bedroom door, the camera following closely behind. It turns and gestures toward a bed containing Researcher Weddle. -1 adjusts the blanket on top of Researcher Weddle so the blanket covers his shoulders. It turns to the camera and brings a finger to its lips. The entity gestures the camera away and walks over to Weddle's open closet before standing in front of it and facing the camera. -1. Now, let's talk about hostile work environments. How do you make them? And how to escalate. Now, approximately 10 minutes were cut for brevity. I'll go ahead and read it here for you. -1 is standing in front of Researcher Weddle's open refrigerator. It's bending over and looking inside, its upper body entirely hidden behind the open appliance door. The entity noisily rummages while continuing to speak. -1. See, what we need to do is make sure that when someone complains of a hostile working environment, we don't solve the problem. If HR solved hostile work environments, what would the labor attorneys do for money? No, our job is different and has 3 parts. Minimize the complaint, alienate the worker complaining, and make sure the one guilty of creating the hostile environment benefits in some noticeable way. Now, -1 throws a jar of pickles out of the refrigerator. -1. We're not conflict resolution managers. We're human resources. We manage the humans. I always say, keep your goal reasonable and keep your role in the company firmly entrenched in your mind. Otherwise, you're just filling out forms and solving problems for employees every waking hour. That's not helping anyone. Now, another 12 minutes have been cut for brevity. The entity has moved into Weddle's living room and sits in a lazy boy recliner, foot dangling off the right arm of the chair. -1 is smoking a cigarette and ashing onto the shag carpeting of Weddle's home. It is also drinking directly from a bottle of wine taken from Weddle's cabinets. -1. Now, let's cover the most challenging aspect of your HR career, medical benefits questions. What a pain in the butt, right? The secret is, don't read the documents. Always say, I'll have to look into it once someone comes to you with questions, and then, if possible, don't get back to them. If they're persistent, find a way to ruin their day, just a little. Who are they to ask such questions? What, are medical benefits a human right? -1 inhales a long drag from the cigarette and then exhales. -1. What is this, Cuba? They should be fucking happy we give them benefits. Read your own damn documents. It's 1992. This ain't a fantasy story. People should be content with what they get. The entity rises from the recliner, grinds out the cigarette onto the carpet, and drains the mostly full bottle of wine in 20 seconds. -1 turns its back to the camera and approaches a potted ficus tree in the corner of Weddle's living room. The sound of a zipper and then a stream of liquid hitting plastic leaves is audible on the recording. -1, what else? Oh, I know, sexual harassment. The best subject. Not because of sex. Don't look at me that way, Willie. I mean because of the harassment. People being unhappy is my thing. The sounds of liquid cease and the zipper is heard again. -1 walks into Weddle's sliding glass door, leading to a small enclosed backyard. The entity opens the door and walks through, the camera following. -1. So part of our job in HR is to take complaints and file them with the appropriate people. When an employee makes a complaint of sexual harassment, this is especially important because we don't want the corporation sued. The bottom line is, literally, you're God. We didn't get into HR because we were humanitarians, am I right? So, make sure to tell the boss, and the appropriate steps are taken when such a complaint is made. I might like it when people are miserable, but abusers can take a long walk off a short pier. You get me? -1 stretches and yawns, looking up at the night sky. As it turns around to face the camera again, the view is shifted down so only the bottom 50% of the entity's face is visible. Blood starts to run down its face in thin rivulets, presumably from the area of its eyes. The blood stains the entity's shirt and continues to flow as it speaks. -1. Right. Well, that's all about the time we have today. Don't forget to write those letters with any questions to Vikander Kneed, Technical Media Human Resources Orientation, at the address provided in tape number 1. We're here to help. Well, not the employees, obviously, but otherwise, we're here to help. You know what I mean. Say goodnight, Willie. -1 starts waving in an animated fashion and continues for 15 seconds. -1. Thanks, Willie. Same from us at Vikander Kneed. Good night. Now, on the 3rd of September 2016, a rentable storage space was discovered by searching out properties in the area owned by any entities labeling themselves as Vikander Kneed. The storage space had been rented out for the last 35 years, paid entirely in advance in cash. Hundreds of VHS tapes were discovered within, labeled as Vikander Kneed Technical Media. Over 50% were copies of the Human Resources Orientation Series. Classification has been changed to KETER, and research is being formulated to discern the nature of the VHS tapes not covered by the SCP 5904 designation. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was SCP 5904. You are dismissed.